What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another live transfer stream to bring you today. We got quite a bit to get through. We're going to go through a Tottenham update and then go into some data and some stats regarding Mohammed Kudus. Not so sweltering today, so we're about to we can manage it in the studio today, thank God. But how's everyone doing out there? How is everyone doing? How many have we got? We've got 235 people in the chat. Everyone smash that subscribe button. Smash that like button as well.
Another rival just announcing a signing not so long ago. João Pedro announced as a Chelsea player. Everyone enjoying the transfer window so far, everyone?
Yeah. So
everyone enjoying it?
Bring the mood down straight away, why don't you?
Well, it's not me. It's unfortunately our rivals and our club who are bringing the mood down. But what can I do? We can only comment on what's happening. And if reality brings the mood down, that's not my fault.
Well, we'll blame you anyway. We'll blame you. Yeah, fine. Let's get straight into it. Let's get straight into the Tottenham update. And yeah, the Bill Nicholson gates have returned to Tottenham. Tottenham have announced today a bit of history coming back to the high road, which is much to everyone's delight. Everyone was saying over the past couple of years, where are these Bill Nicholson gates? We were promised they were going to return to the high road and no word of anything. And I think Vinay actually mentioned it in the FAB meeting a couple of days ago. And now the club have announced it. A big, long, old announcement on the website. And they say that we're delighted to announce that the famous Bill Nicholson gates, which stood proudly in front of our old White Hart Lane Stadium for generations, are returning home this summer. The iconic black and gold iron gates, which became synonymous with the great Bill Nicholson following the famous photograph taken by Peter Robertson in the 1970s, have been kept safely in storage since 2015, having been removed ahead of the construction of our new stadium. Bill himself first stepped through those gates as a young player in 1936 when he arrived for a trial, going on to be a key player in Arthur Rowe's trailblazing 1950-51 league title winning side, before himself becoming the club's most decorated manager, achieving a league and FA Cup double in 1961 and our first ever European triumph 2 years later, the start of what became a trophy-laden era in N17. Generations of fans, players and staff followed in Bill's footsteps through the gates on the way to White Hart Lane, and we recognise their significant cultural and historic value. As such, we have taken our time in finding the most appropriate location to reinstate the gates with the new stadium, mindful of the significant levels of construction and change the area has seen over the past decade. Working in close consultation with the Fan Advisory Board, we've identified a location within Paxton 17 between the ticket office and the historic building at the north of the stadium, at which the gates will be reinstated. Enabling works have been commenced with a view to the gates being in position ahead of our first home league match against Burnley on Saturday the 16th of August. The gates will provide a fantastic photo opportunity for fans on match days and a key point of local interest, forming part of our heritage tour that offers fans and visitors in-depth journey through the club and area storied past, architectural gems and the remarkable individuals who have shaped its legacy. And Daniel Levy, chairman, said that the Bill Nicholson gates are such a significant part of a club's heritage and are extremely proud we'll be returning home this summer. We were never going to rush into any decision as to where they should be reinstated, given the huge amount of work that have taken place in the area over recent years. We have undertaken a carefully planned process working with our architects, construction partners and Fan Advisory Board, and I believe we have found a fitting solution. We look forward to welcoming fans back to the stadium for the coming season, as well as Bill's family members and former players to see the gates and feel a close connection between the club and the rich history. The iconic original photograph that gave Bill Nicholson gates their name and currently on display in the OOF Gallery, alongside some of the greatest works of Peter Robertson until 31st of August. double vision. He's just talking about a gallery now, but it's great to.
You don't want to sell any more of his.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I just realised I've just become like a salesman for the club.
He's got you right where you want.
Yeah, literally. But no, it's great to have them back. That's for sure. I don't know why it's taken so long. But
they don't want to rush into any decision, do they? Well, God forbid they rush into a decision to bring back the iconic Bill Nicholson gates. I mean, clearly there's a lot to discuss. I mean, it's bring back a couple of gates. Like I think just announce it and then plan it. Why do you have to kind of wait? But anyway, look, they're doing it. I'm glad. And you're set. So you read out it's going to be between the ticket office.
It's on the north side of the stadium, yeah.
So are we thinking that's basically like in that little gap in front of the Lily White House, like over there?
I think so, there, yeah.
Yeah, so do you reckon they're going to be actual gates that open and close, or do you reckon they're just going to be like there for photos and stuff?
Well, if they're going to be in front of Lily White House, you'd imagine they would open and close.
Yeah, because they'll actually be used as gates, but will they be? Or are they just going to be used as like... I
would like to think they use the gates. I mean, the whole way through they were used as gates at that old stadium, so there's no reason why they shouldn't.
Yeah, but they're not being... They're being brought back because it's something to take photos with and things like that. Maybe they will use it as.
I think on a match day they'll be closed and no need to open them. But maybe when people need to get to Lily White House on non-match days and stuff like that, they'll be able to open and close them.
Which is, look, I'm glad, and that iconic picture is something a lot of of course, a lot of Tottenham fans know about, and it's also a good opportunity for younger fans when they see those gates being installed in there and people taking pictures with them. You know, they'll ask questions, what's that, why are people taking pictures of those gates? And you know, then that's the opportunity for them to see the picture, and then that's how it gets passed down, isn't it? The history of the club. So I think it's a fantastic thing. Obviously it follows on from a couple of things they've done similarly to this when they had the cockerel outside the south stand with the clock under it, and obviously at the parade they had the flower badge on top of the bus, which was obviously a wreath, which was an homage to when we last won the European Cup. So all these little things are very good, you know, harking back to the history and the heritage of this football club and keeping it alive. And I think that's very, very important. And I think especially in a time when the club have definitely been accused of, you know, not wanting to pander to legacy fans and listen to them and wanting to move on to other fans. I think these kind of things definitely help.
Yeah, I agree, and it's going to be great because anything that you can have for a nod back to the old stadium is welcome, in my opinion. And I think myself, and I think a lot of fans that I've spoken to still, you know, miss the old stadium a lot. I think the kind of feeling that was there, it's a different feeling now at the new stadium, and you know, better or worse, I'll let you make that judgment call. But the old stadium just had that kind of, I don't know if it's because we were young, I was younger and growing up in that stadium, but it was just a different feel around the whole place. And I feel like anything that they can have to put a nod and make you remember those kind of moments, walking up the high road, seeing those kind of things like the clock, like the gates, I think is definitely a welcome return to the high road, that's for sure. And I do remember once when I was younger outside those gates, and I used to stand there a lot when I was like a kid, early teenage years, waiting for the players to walk out. None of them ever walked out. They always just drove out, and sometimes you'd get a sneak peek of them, sometimes not. But the one guy that did walk out, and he had all the time in the world for all of us, was Martin Jol when he was manager. And literally, all players would just drive out, and he would walk out, and he would have time for every player, every fan that was waiting there, and he'll take his time to speak to everyone, take pictures, sign photographs, and everything like that. So that was like kind of my main memory of those gates, just standing there and talking to Martin Jol as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember them being at the stadium. I don't have a specific memory of, or like personal memory of them, to be honest, but I'm just glad these iconic gates are back, and I think it's very important. And look, maybe next step, potentially a statue. Let's see.
Statue of who?
Someone.
Bill Nicholson.
Bill Nick. So let's get a statue. Jimmy Greaves.
It would. I mean, surely Kane deserves one more than him. Well, I guess Jimmy Greaves did win trophies here, I guess. Yeah, maybe Sonny.
Sonny? get a statue of Son. That's the next step that V9 has to conquer, getting a statue.
Let's move into transfer stories, and we're going to start off with the big one, which is Mohammed Kudus. Fabrizio Romano says that Tottenham are pushing for Mohammed Kudus. In recent hours, contact between Tottenham and the camp of Mohammed Kudus has taken place. Spurs are really working on a deal for Kudus. Talks are ongoing and the player is open. Spurs are pushing and want to give the player to Thomas Frank. Tottenham believe Kudus would be an excellent signing for the club. Chelsea and one more unnamed club remain interested in Tottenham target Mohammed Kudus. Ben Jacobs says that Spurs view Kudus as a top priority. They believe West Ham will sell for around 60 million despite Kudus' 85 million release clause. Spurs never advance anything on Eze despite appreciation. Kudus also offered to Chelsea and Manchester United by West Ham. And the Mail are reporting that all of the Premier League's top 6 clubs have all made inquiries for Mohammed Kudus. West Ham are willing to lower their asking price to around £65 million. So in terms of all the top 6 clubs making inquiries for Kudus, that doesn't sound good, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, whether they mean this summer right now, I don't know if everyone's in for him or not. I don't know if I believe that, to be honest. I think maybe it's like they've all, at one point since he's joined West Ham, or even at one point in his career, have they made an inquiry about him? And, you know, can they put that in a headline? I don't know if they mean this summer every single one have made inquiry. I don't know if City have, Liverpool have, Arsenal have. I think maybe they've made an inquiry. Are they seriously interested? Are they actually going to make a bid? I don't know if they're all in for him. But when it comes to, you know, obviously Chelsea, we know Madueke is going to probably be out the door. There is an opening there, despite just signing Pedro and Gittins. So I'm definitely worried about Chelsea. They can't seem to stop buying players as well. It seems to be they're addicted to it at the moment. So
at the moment,
they've always been addicted to it. So that's a worry. I wonder who that unnamed club is as well, if it's a Premier League club or not. But that's obviously a concern. But I think we should.
I wouldn't be surprised if it is Arsenal, that unnamed club.
Maybe. Obviously, I think when you're looking at Kudus, if they're getting Eze, I don't see where they need him. Obviously, back up to Saka, they got WeAre there. So and he was obviously great last season. I don't see Arteta wanting to block his pathway because he was shown he can play. So I don't see why they would sign him, to be honest. Not to play up front.
It's the same for them to sign Madueke.
It's the same for them to sign Madueke, I guess. Yeah, you could definitely argue that. Maybe he's cheaper than Kudus. Kudus, you're talking about spending 65 million. I don't think Madueke is going to cost that much.
No, how much? I mean, Madueke would cost between probably 40 and 50, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how desperate they are to get rid. Maybe you can get him for less, maybe 35. I think they signed him for 35, but I don't necessarily think they're 100% going to get a profit on that. So, yeah, maybe it is Arsenal, but I'd be surprised if it is, if I'm being honest.
The most likely is probably Newcastle, isn't it?
Newcastle, that makes a lot of sense, especially after missing out on João Pedro as well, who was a player they were in for. And they need to obviously improve their front line. And on the right-hand side, Murphy had a lot of minutes last season. And you add Kudus to that, Kudus, Isaac, Gordon, all of a sudden that's a fearsome front line. So I definitely think they'll be in the race. Let's just hope we can steal a march in the competition and get over the line. And maybe the fact he might want to stay in London, if we can get there ahead of Chelsea, can put us in a good position. I really want him, but with knowing Tottenham, the way we do deals, and especially with the fact the West Ham factor as well, despite the fact they want to do deal, they're willing to do a deal with us. Do they want to do a deal with us? That's two different questions. So there's still going to be a lot to go in this deal, I think.
Yeah, and I just feel like we just need to get our asses in gear and just, you know, all you've heard of is Spurs sounding out Kudus' camp. You haven't heard anything about Spurs being in any sort of negotiations with West Ham. All you're hearing is Spurs being, you know, in negotiations with Kudus' camp and in touch with Kudus' camp. Like, if you're really serious about this, go put an offer on the table. Go and test the waters already. Like, all this, like, we heard that an offer got put in of 50 million 2 weeks ago, whatever it is. It got rejected. So go back with a higher offer that they're going to accept if you're really serious about this and if you're really serious about getting ahead of the competition, because otherwise we're just waiting to lose this player again. We're waiting for Madueke to leave Chelsea, and we're waiting for Chelsea to go and gazump us on Mohammed Kudus. That is the reality of right now. So if we're really serious about getting this over the line, you go put the asking price down on the table, 60 million, 65 million, whatever it is, and you do your best to get over the line ASAP.
Yep. welcome to Tottenham Hotspur. That's not how we do business.
I know it's not our game. I know it's not our game, but it should be our game. Like, how many more targets can we lose? Like, we've lost Mbuemo, we've lost Semenyo now, who just signed a new contract. We've lost Eze. Like, how many more targets are we going to lose, dithering and dallying, before we're actually going to go, you know what, we actually want a player. We want to give something to... Romano keeps saying we want to give a player to Thomas Frank. We want to give a top signing to Thomas Frank. Well, if Kudus is going to go, who is that top signing going to be? You know what I mean?
Not from the Premier League. Anyway.
Like, we're losing targets week by week, day by day. And... it's just so frustrating. Like, this guy, Mohammed Kudus, I think he fits us like a glove. I think he's a brilliant player. I think he can get a lot better and show a lot better output at Tottenham under Frank than he did at West Ham, particularly last season. So if you're really serious about it, which I really hope they are, I don't know if Spurs are ever serious about anyone. Spurs are never serious about someone when they've got competition, and we've got competition on Mohammed Kudus. So, unfortunately, this tells me this is probably not going to get over the line.
Yeah, knowing Tottenham, we're going to... If there's a bidding war, we don't like to get involved in that, and we usually lose out on those things. So, I find it hard to believe if Chelsea are really serious about him, that will beat Chelsea to Kudus, because... I think if he wants to stay in London, that's a perfect opportunity as well. And obviously they were high in the league as well. And also West Ham probably more willing to deal with Chelsea than us as well on top of that. So I still think there's quite a few things going against this deal. But if we can steal a march on Chelsea, if Chelsea are being hesitant because they're waiting to get rid of Madueke, and there's an opportunity to kind of show Kudus, look, we really want you here. We're serious about you. Here's the money, West Ham, 65 million. We're willing to pay the money down to try and get him in right now. And we're showing Kudus, look, we're more serious about you than Chelsea are. We really have a place for you in our team. We need you to come here. Then we can maybe get that move done. But right now, knowing Tottenham, they're going to want to wait to get the best price. They're going to want to see the lay of the land. They might even want to wait potentially for Frank to assess the squad as well, all these different things. That's what I'm worried about. I hope they don't wait for all these things, but I'm worried they will. And if they do, by the time Frank's made the assessments, any kind of chance of getting a Premier League proven player this summer is going to be very, very slim, I would say.
You just know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. Chelsea are going to sign Mohammed Kudus. Arsenal are going to sign Madueke, or he'll go somewhere else. And we're gonna go for dibbling in the last week of the window.
Deadline day.
I guarantee you that's the way this is gonna pan out. We're gonna end up with Kyle Walker-Peters and Tyler Dibbling. We're gonna strip Southampton's right hand side that finished one of second worst Premier League team of all time, and that's gonna be our business.
Looking forward to it.
All right, let's move on and let's talk about Cuti Romero. A new update from Edu Burgos today. Dario AS says that Atletico are ready to go all out to bring Cuti Romero to Atletico Madrid. They're willing to offer 55 million euros plus 15 million euros in add-on. Tottenham are demanding a 70 million guaranteed fee. Negotiations are expected to continue this week, where you could see real progress. And another report, this one from Argentina, from Ruben Uria, saying that Atletico Madrid are in negotiations with Tottenham for a deal that's worth over 55 million euros for Cuti Romero. So, I mean, if you do believe, take these reports on face value, if they're offering 55 plus 15 in add-ons and Spurs are sticking to 70 million guaranteed, they're not too far away.
No, and I also think that's obviously the demand. We want 70 million guaranteed, but is that something that there's no wiggle room with? Are we going to be stubborn on that, especially with the current situation or with him 2 years left in his contract? If they were to offer a fee which adds up to 70 million, as long as there's a decent guaranteed figure of within 5 to 10 million of that, I don't see that being an issue. I think Tottenham will end up accepting that and he'll end up agreeing to move. So I think there's no smoke without fire when it comes to the current negotiations. In terms of the denials from the English side of this transfer, no one has said we're not in negotiations. Everyone's just said we haven't agreed a fee. I do believe there's clearly talks going on, and I think they're trying to find a solution. And I think if there is, as I've said, if there's truth that Atletico are already as high as 55 million plus 10 million add-ons, then if Tottenham are looking for a guaranteed fee of 70, I don't think it's beyond Tottenham and Atletico to meet in the middle somewhere with that. I think there's enough wiggle room. I don't think it doesn't sound like it's crazy miles apart, if there's any truth to any of those two figures. So I think it's worrying times if you're one of those people who really want Romero to stay.
Yeah, and I think what do you reckon? Like the biting point is in terms of an agreement, something that Tottenham will accept. Do you reckon something like 60 with 10 million add-ons, 65 with 5 million add-ons? I mean, where do you think Spurs would accept that?
I even think they would accept a bit less. Like, I think if it was like 60 plus 7 million in add-ons or something, get close to that 70 million figure, I think they would accept it, to be honest. Obviously, they'll wait it out and drag it out and try and get it as close at 70. But if, let's say, Atletico draw a line, look, we're offering you 60 plus 8 million in add-ons or 7 million add-ons or something, I don't think Tottenham turn around and say no. I think they'll kind of meet in the middle there. And accept that that's kind of bid.
All right, well, that's the Romero situation. And the last bit of transfer news we got you is regarding a favourite link, which is Davide Frattesi, who seems to be linked to Spurs non-stop over the past couple of years. Caught Offside are saying that Tottenham have genuine interest in Davide Frattesi, who's valued at 35 million euros. The Italy international's future is in some doubt this summer, with Manchester United, Atletico Madrid and Roma all with interest with the player. Do you reckon he's a player that Spurs would like to bring in this summer?
No. I don't know. I just don't see the need for him. I think there's other options, for example, like a Jacob Ramsey, who are going to be much more of value to us. I think he's one of these players, like, he's a midfielder, but he's a midfielder who likes to get forward, but he's not a number 10. He's more of a number 8, but he's more of like a attacking number 8. With decent kind of numbers, making late runs in the box. He kind of, I'll describe him as a bit like a similar profile to like a Frank Lampard, you know. I think Frank Lampard, I think, was maybe a bit more of a attacking midfielder, but like he wasn't quite a number 10, was he, Lampard? He was more of like an 8 who makes late runs in the box, but definitely gets goals and stuff. So I think Frattesi is similar to that, but for me, I don't see a space in the squad for him with the kind of players we have at the moment.
Just had an update from Peter O'Rourke, who's claimed that West Ham have rejected Tottenham's offering offer for Mohammed Kudus, thought to be £50 million plus £5 million in add-ons. So I'm not sure if that's a bid that's happened in the last 24 hours, or if that's the bid that happened a couple of weeks ago. Because a couple of weeks ago they did say 50 million.
Well, he's reporting it like it just happened.
Yeah, I know.
So,
but it could be old news, or it could be something that's just happened.
I mean, I think he's tweeted it as if it's news that's basically hot off the press. That's how he's tweeted it and reporting it. It's not like within an article saying Tottenham have previously had a bid rejected. He's saying West Ham have rejected Tottenham's opening offer. So that's quite interesting. But obviously, look, I'm glad there's an offer there, and we're making one, and we're trying to get him. Obviously, 55 million. If we know, I guess. Look, I know how Tottenham work with negotiations. They're not going to, they're going to test the waters, I'm guessing, first, and see if they can get him for cheaper than the asking price. They're not going to, if the asking price for West Ham is that much, they're not going to immediately just bid that. Although other clubs do that, like the clubs like Chelsea and
clubs that are serious
Liverpool,
about signing players.
City. Obviously, those clubs also negotiate, but as well, sometimes when they just really want a player and there is an asking price they know they can afford, they just go, yeah, we'll do it. For us, even if we know we can afford the asking price, we're still going to try and get money off. That's just how we do business. So this bid of 50 to 55 million, including add-ons, was always going to be off. We're always going to try and get money off of the first bid. That always happens. Let's hope there's future bids coming.
Have Spurs ever in the history of Daniel Levy ever had a first bid accepted? Is that ever true? Has that ever happened? Have we ever not bid under what we think a team is going to accept? He also said in that tweet, Peter O'Rourke, saying it's an opening bid when ex-West Ham employee, who's obviously a very reliable source within West Ham, said the opening bid was a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if we believe that tweet or not.
Well, I guess we're suggesting that our improved offer is 5 million in add-ons,
Which is ridiculous.
which is first of all, it is ridiculous, but it's also very Daniel Levy, so it's extremely believable.
Just like if you've had a bid of 50 million rejected, surely the next move is to go like 60 million with five add-ons. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but in what world do they think? Okay, we'll just add a 5 million add-ons, and it's going to be accepted.
And it's probably like the add-ons probably like win the Champions League.
If he scores 30 goals in a season,
if he scores 60 goals
win the
in the
league,
next 60 games,
if we do the cup, league and cup double, you get another 500k.
Oh, Daniel.
So, yeah, I don't know. Look, obviously, ex-West Ham employee says there was a bid a few weeks ago. Peter O'Rourke saying this is the opening offer, whether it just happened or whether that's the bid he's referring to and he's just getting word of it now. Who really knows? But sounds like there is a bit of movement there, at least. But, clearly there's going to have to be a lot more improved on the offer, I would say. Yeah. I think 60 plus 5, that's 65 million they're looking for. That's going to be more realistic, I would say. This offer is 10 million under the asking price and 15 million under for the guaranteed fee. So doesn't sound like a bid that was ever likely to be accepted.
Yeah, agreed. So that is your Tottenham update for today. Let us know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all those news stories brought to you. 1 second. Someone says check that tweet and check Paul O'Keefe's reply. Did Paul O'Keefe reply to that? Nothing I can see.
No, or was he talking about which tweet? The Peter O'Rourke tweet or the...
You're getting me checking Twitter live on...
Yeah, why not? Yeah, 1 minute. Oh, he says slow sports Pete.
Oh, there you go then. There you go. So, obviously Paul O'Keefe and ex-West Ham employee are... they do a podcast together, don't they? So...
they know each other.
He'll definitely be aligning more to that side than Peter O'Rourke. I mean, Peter O'Rourke is not exactly the most reliable journalist anyway on the
No, but
best
recently
of times.
he's been getting a few things, hasn't he?
Has he? What's he been getting?
He's Footy Insider. That's who he is.
Don't Footy Insider have a few journalists?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure, isn't he the one who's reporting on a few things for Tottenham recently?
Maybe. I don't know. All right. We got a super chat. Let me just get to that before we move on. And who is it from? It is from Mr. Brian Daigle, members chat member for 56 months, Brian. He said, Levy once again hiding things in plain sight. Nothing going on the footballing side of things and pressure mounting. Then all of a sudden, the gates come.
Great signing.
Yeah, and that's going to be our only signing in July, I heard.
We're going to be, after the windows closes, are they going to say, we tried to find it in the budget, but we can't afford X player because these gates were just so expensive, we had to spend all this money on the gates, and this summer is going to be difficult now because of these gates.
Nothing to do with the hotel or the 3 apartment blocks are going up or anything to do with that. It's all about the gates and how expensive the gates are. Next up is Terence Lim, and he says, Ben Sim, who's a better player and who's a better fit for the squad, Eze or Kudus? So I actually think Kudus is a better fit for the squad of what we actually need. I mean, you can't say who's in or who's out. Depends who we sell as well. But I think, in my opinion, I think Kudus is a better fit for the squad, but I think Eze is probably a better player.
Yeah, I agree. I think Eze is I think Eze is a better player. I think, obviously, Kudus, that strength he has is maybe obviously better than what Eze can provide in that department, and his dribbling ability as well. But Eze's dribbling ability is also pretty good.
Yeah.
And just Eze is so much more creative. I think he's got a much better shot on him as well. I think he's got much better decision making. He can take set pieces. Kudus maybe a bit better in transition. He's stronger, can hold off players more. Can complete more dribbles, beat more players, and I think if Kudus improves certain things, I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility he can catch up to Eze, especially as well. He's got 3 years younger, so he's got time to catch up. But I think right now, for sure, Eze's got way more strings to his bow than Kudus.
Yeah. There is, 3-4 years apart?
So 3 years, yeah.
Yeah. So, in terms of where Eze was at 3 years ago, I guess 3 years ago, he still got 10 Premier League goals and 4 assists that season. So, that's that. But we're going to move on, and we are going to take a deep dive into Mohammed Kudus, and we're going to be telling you exactly why we think Spurs should be signing Mohammed Kudus and why we think he's a great signing for us. So let's go and look at this data.
So yeah, got quite a lot to look at when it comes to why we think Tottenham are so interested in Mohammed Kudus, why we're thinking of parting with the best part of 65 to 70 million for him when he's a player who only got 8 goal contributions last season and by all accounts was disappointing, and also by all accounts it seems as though West Ham fans aren't too bothered seeing the back of him. So why do we think Tottenham are so interested? So this is some of the data from last season, this pie chart. I think we've shown you this pie chart before. So this is how he stacked up last season. Very good when it comes to his dribbling ability. Sorry, this isn't last season. This is his first season at West Ham. Apologies. Very good with his dribbling. This is when he got 14 goal contributions, and I think in all comps he got like over 20. I think in the Europa League as well. One thing you see there, bottom left, was actually one of the better attackers in Europe with his defensive contributions, which is something I know Ange obviously very much appreciated. I'm sure Frank does as well. His ability to work hard and get a lot of tackles in. But I think that ability in the top right, you can see those take-ons. That is something we're very much missing in the squad, that ability to beat players regularly and get ourselves up the pitch. Now, last season he struggled. If we're looking at the next one, so this is a comparison between last season and in blue is his first season, in red is last season. So actually, in the data, there isn't that much difference in terms of how he performed. The big differences are his defensive numbers, bottom left, and his successful take-on percentage was way lower in the following season, even though he completed a similar amount of take-ons. His percentage was a lot lower last season than it was season 4, which means he was maybe attempting more, but he wasn't successful with as many, albeit he actually was successful in a similar number. But what's quite interesting is the bottom left there, his tackles, interceptions, dribblers tackle, all these things went way down. So a lot of West Ham fans accused him of phoning it in, not trying as hard. Well, the data suggests maybe that was true. But why did he have a bit of a drop-off for West Ham attacking numbers? Why do we think it didn't go right for him last season? Obviously, there was reports of a fallout between the manager, all these different things. But the main thing for me is his position. So if you go to... This is his heat map. So obviously the one on the left is his first season and one on the right is his second season. What you notice is high concentration on the right-hand side in his first season. Majority of his games in his first season was a right wing, and when he did play at right wing in his first season, he got 10 goal contributions in 15 games.
So where was Bowen playing when he was on the right wing? Was he playing up front?
I think it was a mix. Yeah, he was. I haven't looked where Bowen was playing, but I saw Kudus's majority of his game time was up front, was on the right. He obviously did play up front and in attacking midfield as well, and on the left wing as well. He did play a bit on the left, but majority of the time, the highest point was on the right hand side. So I think that got him in a position he likes. You can see on the left, on the season just been. Much more on the left-hand side, much more even distribution of where he was playing. He actually only started 4 games in the Premier League on the right wing last season. Yeah. Which for someone like Kudus, I think that, and I'll explain in the next graphic why I think that's significant. So we get the shot maps up. Yeah. So these are the shot maps he had from his first season and his second season. So as you can see, he had quite a big concentration of his shot of his shooting, kind of to the right. If you're facing the goal, to the right of the penalty area, and having shot to goal towards towards the goal at that point. If you actually look on the one on the right, which is last season, a lot of his shots are coming from the left-hand side in that inside pocket in the penalty area. You're facing the goal kind of on the left-hand side. Now, the reason why I think that's significant is because if you're a left-footed player like Kudus, who with his shooting style as well, if you're shooting from the left-hand side, it limits your shooting capabilities a hell of a lot, because basically you're basically limited to, can you shoot it across the face of goal into that corner, or otherwise you're not really going to be able to hit it in the near post. It's going to be very difficult unless you hit it into the roof of the net. Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to score goals that way. Whereas if you're cutting inside, and the way he shoots, not only does he have that far post finish, which he's very good at, but actually there's a couple of times he actually finished it at the near post, because because he's shooting it hard and low, when he's cutting inside, that's a lot better angle to shoot at the near post than it is when you're shooting on the left, shooting towards goal, because that near post shot is a lot more difficult to pull off than when you're cutting inside. So that's why he was able to get a lot more good value shots and a lot better actually efforts to go. And actually, if you look at the right at the bottom, he had less shots in his first season and he had less XG, but he had 8 goals. And the season just been, he had more shots, he had higher XG, and he had 5 goals. And I think that's because he had high XG, but those XG chances were coming from positions where, albeit, yes, he's closer to goal, it's actually more difficult to score from, even though he's closer, because it's less natural for him to shoot from those positions. So I think, for me, you need to be getting Kudus in that left graphic. You can see in that zone, on the edge of the box, kind of, so he's cutting in on his left foot, so he can either go near post and has 2 options, whereas when he's on his left foot on the right hand side coming from the left, he kind of has 1 option. Can he shoot across the face of goal? And that's it. And if you block that shot, you're stopping him from scoring. So I think his position is big, and I think West Ham have been misusing him a lot since he's been there. And I think these graphics show a lot as how he's been misused. And as well, quite interestingly, in his first season, he actually half of his goals with his right foot as well. So that shows to me that he's quite comfortable on his right foot if he needs to use it. Yeah. But he's not. You don't want him cutting in on his right foot. You want him cutting on his left. But he can go on the outside of his right if he needs to. Whereas on the flip side, if he's playing on the left wing, which he was a lot in his last season, he's cutting in on his right, where he's not as comfortable using that as his dominant foot.
I think it does prove, like with this, and also if you bring on the next graphic with the games he's played with what position. Look how many different positions West Ham have used him in, and I think that definitely goes to show in what you were saying in terms of playing him to his strengths. And it was a very mishmash approach from West Ham. But we know Thomas Frank likes to play players to their ultimate strengths, and I think if you do play a Kudus to his strengths, I think the stats have shown it at West Ham, but also if you do play him to his strengths, he can be a very scary player, and he can go up so many levels if you do it from there consistently, and he'll provide for you in goals and assists consistently as well.
And as you can see here on that graphic on screen, he's majority of his game time at West Ham. Well, I say majority's actually not been on the right, but his position he's been used in the most has been the right wing. 19 games, 11 goal contributions. That's obviously a better goal contribution rate than any of his other positions. But as well, last season he only played 4 games. So in his first season, and he only got 1 goal contribution in 4 games. So that means in his first season he played 15 games and got 10 goal contributions, which is much more than all the other positions he's played at. Albeit, I'd say on the left wing, he still can provide a few goal contributions. That's 7 in 17, which is not amazing, but it's not terrible. But the other positions, centre forward, which is interesting, he's played up front more than he's played in the 10, which we know in the 10 he's played quite well for Ajax and for Ghana. Hasn't played too much in the 10, but he hasn't been... whether that's because of how West Ham played their forwards. We know Antonio, he's basically used to run the channels and those different things and chase lost causes. Maybe Kudus isn't kind of adept to that kind of game, but he has struggled in the Premier League for West Ham when he's played attacking midfield and when he's played centre forward. He hasn't maybe been as much of a goal threat as he has been when he's on the wing. So it's interesting that I see a lot of people suggesting on Twitter or on X that his best position is the 10. But at West Ham, it hasn't been. That's just the fact.
And I think in his career, it hasn't been as well. I think if you bring on the next one, look at those goal contribution rate to him as a right winger compared to every other position.
Which is interesting. He's the most games he's played in his career is centre forward, but I think this includes like youth level kind of stuff. But yeah, centre forward is the role he's played the most, and his goal contribution is 19 in 51, whereas in right winger, it's 31 in 50.
Which is an unbelievable rate,
great.
to be honest.
Yeah, over 1 in 2.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you use him, like I keep saying, if you use him in the right way, harness his abilities in the right way in the team, which, you know, it's an ability that we're desperately crying out for, then I do think that you'll reap the benefits. The one thing that does concern me is the situation that we did speak about yesterday in terms of attitude, mentality. Why has that kind of level of work rate gone down this year at West Ham? Why has he come disillusioned with life so quickly after moving there? I was speaking to my uncle last night about it. He says there's clear attitude problems there with Mohammed Kudus, who obviously he's a West Ham season ticket holder. And he said as well, like when they signed Kudus, it was very kind of clear from the offset that he was only using West Ham as a stopgap. I guess if Tottenham weren't used in that manner, first of all, are Tottenham going to be used in that manner for him to be using Tottenham as another stopgap for him to go higher up? If he is, then this situation is going to just rear itself again.
Yeah, yes and no. I think obviously in his first season he played phenomenally well, and the second season for one reason or another it didn't go right for the whole team, and clearly I think he got disillusioned. I reckon he got frustrated being played out of position. I reckon he got frustrated that Lopetegui was continually playing him on the left wing, and I think we can see here his best position is the right wing. I think that's where he wants to play, or in the 10, and I think he was continually using that position, and that got him very, very frustrated. Now, I don't know what happened when Graham Potter came in. His form didn't seem. I think his form got a bit better, but it didn't seem to massively improve, and it seemed to be something that he just couldn't get back in his rhythm. But just because he got disillusioned at West Ham, it doesn't mean it's guaranteed he'll get disillusioned at Tottenham. It's a very different kettle of fish. We're a team and a club that's supposed to be competing regularly for European football and being in the higher echelons. We're in the so-called Big Six in the Premier League. I think he can definitely see a pathway to achieve his goals and dreams a lot more at Tottenham than he would at West Ham, I would think. Whether he went to West Ham initially as a stepping stone or not, I think West Ham have to accept that for them. Now, the stepping stone for West Ham is clubs like Tottenham, clubs like basically the Big Six, and maybe Villa and Newcastle as well. So maybe the Big Eight. Stepping up from Tottenham is different kettle of fish. There are clubs in England. You've got Liverpool and City who maybe you could step up to, and you've got clubs in Spain like Madrid, Barca, but it's a lot harder to get to those clubs than it is to make the step up from West Ham.
I mean, there's plenty of clubs that can be a step up from Tottenham.
It's harder to get to those clubs.
Of course, it's harder to get to those clubs. And
you have to be a lot better. And I think there's clubs that are a step up, but it's harder to get a player out of Tottenham than it is West Ham. It's a different kettle of fish.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think if he really wants that kind of move, if he's going to Tottenham thinking, okay, I'm going to go to Tottenham for 2 years and then I'm going to move up to Madrid or something, then that's a foolish way of thinking. I don't think he would be. I reckon he'd come to Tottenham thinking, I could be here for quite a few years, I think.
I hope so. And if that's the mentality that he does come here with, then I think, what a hell of a player that we got on our hands. If you get a Mohammed Kudus with his head right, playing to his strengths, that's a scary proposition for Spurs to have. And I think that he can be a real fan's favourite here. I really believe that. Such an exciting player to watch. Someone that's just going to attack each player, draw like 2 or 3 players on him the whole time, which will leave a lot of space down the other end for the likes of Matisse Tell and potentially the strikers as well. So I think Kudus can be such a good signing for us if he's used in the right manner. And I think Thomas Frank could be a perfect manager for him.
Yeah, and as well, I've identified some specific stats when comparing him to our current kind of crop of wingers that we have. So I've kind of adjusted a few of them. So I've done Kudus since he joined West Ham. I've compared him to Kulusevski when he spent the majority of his time on the wing. So it's like when he first joined to the end of last season, because this season he didn't play as much on the wing. So this is, and also we got Tell kind of at Tottenham and a bit of Bayern, Son just from last season, Brennan just from last season, and Odegaard as well. So as you can see, when it comes to his shot on target percentage, it's significantly lower than all our other wingers. So I think that's something he's going to have to improve massively when it comes to being more effective in the final third. Clearly, he's got a 27% rate of getting shots on target, which is ridiculously low actually when considering other attackers playing for top 6 clubs. So that's something he's going to have to massively improve. I think a lot of that as well comes through a variety of finishes that he doesn't use. I think he needs to use more, as I've said, finesse and stuff like that. I feel like he goes for power too often, and that's something he's gonna have to change. Obviously, comparing that to Son has a 43% shot on target percentage compared to Kudus 27, and he's quite significantly the lowest. So that's something he's going to have to improve. When it comes to his goal contribution rate, next one, he is second lowest of our current wing options. Only Odegaard having worse. So that's something, obviously, look, when you come into just pure goal contributions, I think Son, obviously Tell, that includes his Bayern time, so we haven't seen that at Tottenham, but there's Brennan and Decky who do get regular goal contributions. So Kudus, as good as he is, he's lagging behind in those things, and that's something, goal contribution wise. But I also think that contributes to that is the fact he's not playing on the right wing as much.
Yeah, I agree.
So if he plays more on the right wing, I think you see that figure improve.
Totally agree.
But where he excels massively is take-on. So go to the next one. So these are shot-creating actions he gets from take-ons. As you can see, it's nearly double the nearest person.
Yeah.
That's
what he's proper elite at.
So
he's literally elite. I think in terms of in the Premier League, I think he's the best at it.
So shot-creating actions from take-ons is a shot, an action that leads to a shot. And he's actually one of the best in the league at getting a shot out of that situation. So the amount of times one of his dribbles leads to a shot is so far beyond anything we have, pretty much, which is very significant. It's something we're not really used to, albeit his passing and other things are quite lagging behind, but definitely from dribbling it is. And then you go to the next one, successful take-ons, and as well take-ons attempted and also successful kind of percentage, way out in front of anyone else we have as well. 3.9 successful dribbles per 90. The next nearest is Tell, but again that includes Bayern. So the next nearest for Tottenham is Decky, which is 1.96. So nearly double what Decky offers in terms of the amount of dribbles per game. Percentage-wise, 51% successful, which is much better than anyone else in the squad as well that we have. So
and that's what excites me the most about him. Mm-hmm. That's what you're talking about with a proper Tottenham player who can attack his man relentlessly and do it to such a high level. Like I said, I think he's the best at it in the Premier League. And to have someone like that at Tottenham sprinkled around with the other talents that we have that are so good in kind of other aspects of their game, I just think it can work really well.
The only thing is on that graphic on the far right, you can see the amount of times he gets tackled, and that's 3.07, which is much higher than most of our other players as well. So he does lose the ball a lot more. That's something which you're going to have to contend with, or something hopefully he can improve. And then some specific stats as well, just from his FB ref that I've picked out. These are obviously, which I was talking about for his shot creating actions. As you can see here, which is quite, I think this tells the story, his actions from passing that lead to a shot, one of the lowest, but his actions that lead to a shot from take-ons, one of the highest. So that is the kind of player we're getting. He's not going to play a killer pass. He's not really going to be kind of finding teammates in dangerous positions. But what he will do is he'll dribble his way into dangerous situations. So I think that kind of tells the story of how he's going to be used at Tottenham. then you go to the next one. Not this one, go to the next one. And then obviously, as you can see, take-ons, one of the highest. This is why we're buying him. This stat here, his successful take-ons. He's pretty much the best dribbler in the league. So, essentially, that is what we're getting. We're getting someone who is an incredible player with the ball at his feet and when he's taking people on and running at people.
And this is what I was saying yesterday. I don't think we've had a dribbler of anywhere close to this level at the club since Gareth Bale, since David Ginola. Like these kind of guys who, we quickly became fans' favourites. So that's why I believe that firmly this guy is going to get the ball, just maraud down that right-hand side, be so hard to handle, attract so many players. He's going to add such a different element to our game that we haven't had at Tottenham for such a long time, that we've been crying out for such a long time. And I think these stats alone and the next one is the reason why Spurs fans should be so excited about Mohammed Kudus coming to Spurs.
Yeah, and that's, again, it's shock-creating actions. I think this is from his first season. Actually, so it was a bit better. Again, take-ons, one of the highest. And actually from defensive actions, which is quite interesting, was able to create a lot of shots from his defensive action. So I think this is a player who can press as well. This is a player when his mind is focused, he's quite good at pressing. And then obviously this is his first season. So his first season, his dribbling was out of this world. You can see it was incredible. The only thing you have to be just a bit wary of is you don't want him to be another Adama. You don't want him to be a Saint-Maximin. You don't want him to be a player who's got unbelievable dribbling ability and is so great to watch, but not much meat at the end of the bone. You need someone.
But I think he will have that.
I think he's got definitely the ability to do that.
But I think he's proven as well, like with the stats that we brought up, whenever he's played on the right wing, he's had meat on the bone. He's been able to provide consistent goal contributions when an Adama and a Saint-Maximin had never shown that across the whole of their career.
Yeah, but that's something he's ultimately got to prove he can do. I think he can, and I think there's evidence to suggest he can, but he needs to prove it.
Yeah. Do you not think, though, he has proven it or whenever he's played in his best position?
I don't think he's proven it over a whole season just yet that he's going to be a guy who's going to get you significant amount of... well, I guess for West Ham, he did in his first season. He got 14 goal contributions. I think he's proven he's going to get more regular goal contributions than, say, Maximin or Adama. But I think he needs to just show he's not just like a better version of those. He's different. He's different to those kind of players.
And I think he is.
He's got better decision making about him.
I think he is.
And I think he is as well.
So that is why we think Mohammed Kudus could be an incredible signing for Tottenham Hotspur. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you want Kudus? And let us know why you do or you don't in the comment section below. But that is all we have for you today. Thank you everyone for joining us. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.